Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish.
Hello. It's the end of the week anyway. I'm all cuckoo. I don't know. Whatever. It's the end of the week. So what do you say? Should we wrap this whole thing up? We've been talking about emotional freedom all week, and it's hit some pain points with some people. I've actually had some personal messages Facebook to me. And you know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing a little bit of a pattern. And so I'm going to be talking about that today. And we're going to dig a little further into this stuff because emotional freedom is something that I think we all deeply cherish. Amen. So thank you so much for showing up today. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me, Catherine and Jocelyn. So good to see you here. And I know there's a few more out there, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Hello, welcome. Deborah, hi. Good to have you. So we're going to be talking about that. Meanwhile, though, we've got all kinds of other goodies going on. Have you noticed that we got BOGOs galore? This one's a buy one, get one, and this is how we fix our leptin. The leptin is a hormone that lives in our fat. Thank you very much. And it breaks, especially when we're trying to lose weight or whatever, but you'll know that your leptin is broken if your appetite's out of control, right? If your appetite's out of control, we got to fix the leptin. That's exactly what Leptifix does. So if you buy one and get one, you're going to get one free. And you're going to also get our ABCs of sprinting. So cute, isn't it? Say thank you to Amber. She made this up. Hi, Martha. Hi, Kathy. Good to have you here. And didn't I see Alice just a second ago? I sure did. Hi, Alice. So that's cool. Am I right? That's cool. Go find that at savingdinner.com/show. And let me just tell you something. Leptifix is on the way out. Apparently I'm the only one who likes it. So if you want to get this, go ahead and stock up. You put 3 in your cart, you're going to get 6 back. Buy one, get one. We have no limits on this. We are closing this out. Just telling you. And then we're going to also send you this fun guy. Yay. These are super cool. I love them. So pretty too to look at. And it's a good reminder, for heaven's sakes. So we have that. The other thing that you need to know is the Rising Tide is on. And here is the incredible workbook that goes with it. This goal workbook and planner is going to take you all the way through class. Then you're going to be given a link and you can make more of these planning sheets, more of the daily goal trackers so that you can stay with the program, so to speak. This is an intensive course and it starts on September 26th. We go for 3 weeks straight, 2-hour classes. Yes, you can watch the whole thing on, replay, etc. But it's going to be super awesome. I want you to go look at it, though. Go look at this page. See if this is something that feels good, right? savingdinner.com/rise. That's how we need to operate off of. Does this feel good? I think too often we operate out of guilt, shame, anxiety, etc., which we're going to be talking about today, unfortunately, but it's a thing. And it's really important for us to operate from our best selves, from our best place, from our higher self. And there is such a thing, and we can tap into that, and we can rise and become that. That's what this course is about, because we only have 3 months, really, 3+ months left in this year. Hasn't it gone fast? So rather than just wring our hands over getting through the last of these months, why don't we go vibrantly through the last of these months through this year and end 2023 in a really amazing, cool way, right? That's what I say. So Anyway, I've got everything in place for you to get the Rising Tide. All you have to do is go and click on that link, savingdinner.com/rise. We have 2 Jocelyn's in the house. How fun is that? Hi, Linda. I'm glad you're here. Don't we have 2 Jocelyn's? I think we do. Don't we have 2 Jocelyn's? Maybe we don't. Maybe not today, but we do. Anyway, so we have that. You know about our Etsy store. You can find it at savingdinner.com/Etsy. You know that we give free shipping to those of you who go shopping with us and spend $300. That's free shipping on us to say thank you to you. As long as you're in the lower 48, it's going to happen. And then lastly, I want you to just really meditate on this quote of the week. This quote of the week is chef's kiss perfection, especially when we're talking about this whole week's thing about emotional freedom. And it's this: you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the levels of your habits. What we're trying to do here is create new habits always, so that we can live that vibrant life, so we can up level where we are and get to the place of better. You know, we're never going to get to the place of perfect, but we certainly can get to the place of excellence. And my goodness, Amber, it's so nice to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Well, we have Amber behind the scenes too, and we have Amber in front of the scenes here, listening. 2 Ambers in the house. It's nice to have you all both. Anyway, I think that's everything that I have to tell you about. You know everything. I'm giving you all of the information that you need. So let's get busy and get down to the nitty gritty, because today is kind of intense. There's a lot of stuff. I'm sorry, Autumn. I called you Amber. I meant Autumn. Why do I do that? I got to get back to my brain supplements, apparently. Autumn. So it's lovely to have you here. And by the way, it's your month. It's your season coming up. It's your season coming up. And we're getting a little bit of it right now, a little peaksy of autumn, a little color here and a little color there. And as you can see, I'm in a sweatshirt. Not quite ready for summer to end. Who's ready for summer to end? I'm not. I know, I'm sure you're used to it. But, you know, it's like when people call me Luann, I don't like it. I want to be called Leanne. And I want to call you Autumn. And it's such a beautiful name. All right, let's just talk about anxiety and guilt and, you know, shame, because that is the plumb line that runs through the block to emotional freedom. What's going to hold you back from having that kind of freedom? Guilt is, shame is, and what does that lead to? Anxiety, right? I want to talk about that stuff because, you know, so often we include that all in, this is part of the thing. But there is a great, I should say, psychiatrist. His name's Peter Breggin. You know, remember, these guys are MDs and they specialize in the brain. That's what these guys do. And I have a whole lot of respect for these guys who go past the drugs and into the why is this happening? Where's the brokenness happening? That's what he does. He has a methodical approach to achieving emotional freedom. And he says it's only 3 steps. Well, I don't know about that. But these 3 steps, I think, are super critical. Anyway, his book is called Guilt, Shame, Anxiety. If you want to go take a deeper dive on it, it's pretty good. I know, honey. I know, Autumn. You've been through a lot. We have your heart. We've been praying for you, and it's. I'm sure you've been struggling. How could you not? How could you not? God bless you. By the way, we love you. Okay, so let's talk about, let's take a peek into this and see how we can conceptualize this to fit, look for the practical ways in which we can understand and utilize all of this. And the first thing that he says is that we have to learn to identify guilt, shame, and anxiety. Well, duh. You know, those are big emotions, aren't they? They're so profound. So we have to recognize these because 1, A, they're potent, and B, they're crippling. They can hold us back from the vibrancy that we're trying to get in our lives. And they can also govern the way our actions and our responses are. And they can stop us from having that life that we're looking for. And I think it's just super critical that we look at some ideas and some how-tos on getting into the weeds a little bit on this and digging some of this stuff out. The first thing is awareness and acceptance. First of all, we have to notice it and be aware of it. Too often, emotions come and we just know that we feel terrible. Men are especially prone to this. They have, like, 3 adjectives maybe for their emotions. Women are a little bit more descriptive. But if we can tell the difference between guilt and shame, guilt is feeling bad about something that we did. Shame is excessively hand-wringing over something that maybe isn't even a thing. Sometimes guilt and shame go together. They're like, ugly stepsisters. But what we need to do is we need to be recognizing this is guilt, this is shame, and this is causing me anxiety, right? We have to recognize that. And then we have to look at that and see it and accept these feelings without the judgment. Because guess what? I experience this. You experience this. We all experience it. It doesn't mean we have to live in it. It doesn't mean we have to invite it into our house and make it a part of our decor. It doesn't mean that this is just the way it is. It means it comes, it goes. It means we have opportunity to deal with it. It means that if we can notice it, we can do something about it. Hi, Corliss, by the way. Good to have you here. So awareness and acceptance, huge, because that's going to give us an opportunity to actually do something about it. And then the next thing is perhaps a therapeutic approach. Get a counselor. Go talk to your pastor. Talk to a trained counselor who understands about all of this stuff and can help you. Sometimes we need a deeper understanding of these emotions and the ability to be able to identify them. This is just food for thought here. And the other thing that I love to do, and this is a big deal for me, this is what I do. Here it is. Journal. You know what I do? Reflective journaling. When I feel if I feel guilty, or if I feel shame, or if I have like these crushing emotional experiences, they go into my journal. Because at that point, you can emotionally dump this stuff and then maybe have an opportunity to sort it out just by reading what you wrote. Oftentimes, it's so crowded in there. Am I right? Do you know what I mean? It's so crowded in there that the jumble that's happening is hard to straighten out, hard to figure out. This is why we spend all that money going to counseling. But we can also, and while I'm not saying don't go to counseling, there are things that we can do proactively today. And one is to pick up, one of those 1,000 journals that you have started somewhere and just start dumping that stuff in it and start reflecting on it and looking at it and saying, hey, I see a pattern here, or you know what? I get triggered by X, Y, and Z. Those kind of things, that kind of curiosity leads to healing. Because when you notice something and when you see something, there's something you can do about it versus something that you just know is just off, right? The other thing is that you need to learn to reject this stuff because it is not here to stay. It's not here to take over your life unless you allow it to. So when we can identify them, we can also, when we see them, identify them and say, this is what this is, we can also say, I reject them, right? Because they're not, they get us into their clutches. They hold us captive. It's like being kidnapped from your own consciousness of what it is that you want. So there's a big thing. I'm going to dive into this. This one's, if you're taking notes, this is a good idea, by the way. If you're taking notes, take notes, because this part that I'm going to talk about right now is not going to be in the show notes for tomorrow. Show notes are always going to be shorter, but I'm going to give you some good stuff on cognitive restructuring. Cognitive restructuring is a technique to challenge those negative thought patterns. Okay. And here's some things about it. It's part of cognitive behavioral therapy. This is something that a lot of, therapists actually specialize so that you can recondition yourself to do something different and not keep going back to those same patterns. But what this does is it helps you to identify patterns and some of the irrational stuff that comes with it so that you can replace them with positive, more constructive ones. Okay. So I have the first thing that we need to put onto the, you know, the box, the places of checking those boxes is identifying those automatic thoughts. We do that, don't we? One of the things I find myself saying, I caught myself with this yesterday, and tell me if this isn't true for you. I was saying under my breath, "Oh my gosh, that drives me crazy." And I thought for a minute, when I say things like that, I'm giving my brain a command. I'm telling my brain, "Go crazy," right? And what does crazy mean? Racing thoughts, catastrophizing. I mean, all kinds of stuff that goes with it. Things like this that we say automatically, and we don't realize we are giving this negative, command essentially to our brains. And then I found myself, and I had to say it like 3 times yesterday. Of course, that's not true. Of course, I'm not going crazy. And I had to start saying that, this is something that I absolutely reject. This is something that I'm not liking right now, is a little bit better. Or I don't enjoy this. This is something that I need to do. Like, it was basically about Mark always leaves late. And so he's racing to get out of here. And I'm thinking, you have the time. Why do you do this? It's just a bad habit that he has. But I don't need to be mumbling under my breath, "God, he does this and it drives me crazy." And then I know he's going to be driving too fast out here. And then I start all this stuff. We don't need to be doing that. And that's part of this automatic thought process, dumping that stuff entirely. So when we see this, it's in response to a situation that's come up that we don't like. And then we have to, one of the things that we can do is we can talk about it in our journal. That's what I did. And start reconstructing it. What do I want it to look like instead? Amen. Does anybody do that, by the way, besides me? Then we challenge those thoughts is another thing that we can do. So we can question those automatic thoughts. Is this true? Am I going crazy? No, you're not. This is not true. This is not what this is. This is just hyperbole. So let's get rid of that. The other thing is we can decatastrophize it. You know what that means? We catastrophize. We say things like, "Oh, it's going to happen this. And then the next thing you know, this is going to happen. And then this is going to happen." And we start building this whole horrible scenario that doesn't need to happen. What we can do is we can start toning it down. Okay, so he's late. So, and then I'll give him a loving reminder. Remember, these are our neighbors. We don't want to be racing through the neighborhood. We want to keep it down. We want to be kind and stop that whole thing. That's one of the things that we can do. The other thing is the Socratic method. The Socratic method is constantly asking yourself these open-ended questions that exposes the contradictions. Well, you're saying this, but that's not really happening. So why are you saying these things, right? You're saying that it's driving you crazy, but that's not really happening. So why would you say that? And that deals with me, because it's not about him. It's about me at this point. That's the Socratic method. It's pretty incredible. We also can default to mindfulness meditation and pull out, with the opportunity, with the idea that, I want to tone down these automatic thoughts. And that's going to help you with that as well. I mean, I've spoken endlessly about the importance and the incredible needle mover that meditation is, and something I really so highly recommend. The other thing is to conduct experiments on your negative thoughts and your positive thoughts. Well, what would happen if I did this instead of that? What would happen if I said this? Can you imagine how much more positive it would be if I did that? Doesn't it help? That is so incredibly helpful, because you know what this is? This is reminding you of the amazing brain that God himself gave you, and how we have this ability to conceptualize different things, and we can get out of these ruts of these negativities and of this anxiety and the guilt and the shame and the this and the that, and start asking ourselves different questions to bring us to this place of peace. Because what is emotional freedom except peace? Peace. The other thing is reattribution, and that looks like looking at a situation from a variety of angles to find the different causes. You know, why am I feeling like this? If I were sitting in this position, would I be feeling like this now? Or when I was younger, would I feel like this? In 10 years, am I going to feel like this? Kind of looking for it. So instead of looking at something as a single cause of whatever, we have an opportunity to find the various contributing factors. Well, is this something that so and so would do? Is this something that somebody else would do? Is this something that I would even say to myself 10 years from now? These are things that we can do to help ourselves grow. The other thing is visualization and imagining great outcomes, imagining a good conversation where a bad one took place, imagining love instead of the hate, imagining joy instead of the fear. Imagining all of these different things are the things that we can do. And when we do this, when we see ourselves positively handling an outcome, guess what happens the next time? We handle it. Guess what comes out of our mouths the next time? The positive words that we have now rehearsed in our heads and thought of. We're giving ourselves room to do this. And that's what emotional freedom is the room to move around a little bit. So all of these things, they're just huge. And they're going to help you get through the next thing. The other thing is to learn to fill yourself with love for other people, life in its all the many aspects of life, and for your greater purpose. I'm not really wild about, sayings that could be a bumper sticker, like make lemonade out of lemons and, all of that kind of thing. But the fact is that when we reject negative emotions and all those negativity that we're just talking about, we leave a void. And so nature abhors a vacuum. We know that for a fact. And you know how that feels. What can we put in there instead? How can we be filled up to overflow? Well, here it is. Here's some ideas that you can use. The first thing is emotionally being loving through gratitude and from just sitting and being with yourself and being in love with your life. As raggedy and as flawed and as imperfect as it is, and just being grateful, start there. And then start with just a little bit of emotional touch points where you felt greatly loved in your life. I've shared this story before. I'm going to share it again. But when my son, who is now 31 years old, and I have a great relationship with him, he just sent me this sweet text I was looking at. And but when he was a teenager, he took a wrong turn and he did some wrong stuff. And I was just filled with, I had confided in a girlfriend that I said, I just don't even like him anymore. I still love him. He's my son, but I don't even like him anymore. You know what she said to me? She said, I remember, because she knew him since he was a baby. She said, I remember when he was just the smallest, the sweetest little bundle of, the sweetest little kid. And I had this little picture of him. He was a little towhead, with bowl cut. That's what we did back then. And I have the sweetest little picture of him in his little shirt with cars all over it. And I put it in my wallet and prayed over that, because that's what would provoke the love, not I had guilt because of where he was in his life. I felt it was all a reflection of me. This is where we go, right? But I needed to fill my cup with love. I needed to get off of all of that stuff. There was nothing I could do. My greatest fear was that I would either see him in a body bag or he'd be in prison. It was those were my fears. But when I finally understood that these are the things that are out of my control, and all the guilt and all the shame and the anxiety and everything that's going with it, I don't need that on top of the reality of what's going on. What I do need is love, because love covers a multitude of sins. Love fills up and spreads out and is greater than any of these things. So if I can just love my son and just love him up and love him to this place of where he needs to go and pray for him with this wholehearted love, that's going to take me places. And that little picture of him at 5, 6 years old reminded me of that. And it was just it was a huge thing for me. Maybe that's where you are right now. And you need to fill up all of that negativity, fill it up with love, and find a reminder that takes you to that place of that love. And that's where you can just get your cup continually refilled. I don't believe God will ever reject you coming with an empty cup, ever. So as we're all doing all of this, the greatest thing in the whole world is obviously love. But this self-compassion that you can give yourself is one of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself. We all suffer through shame and guilt and anxiety. It's a part of the human equation. But we also have the greatest ability to reject it and instead fill our cups elsewhere. That's emotional freedom, y'all. That's it right there. So I hope this whole week filled your little cup. And I hope this was helpful for you. And any of you who are suffering through some of this stuff, my heart goes out to you. And those of you who did leave me those messages on Facebook, bless you, you're with me. And I hope this whole series sealed the deal and helped you out. I will tell you right now that we have announcements on our announcement page. If you missed anything at the beginning of the show, you can find it at savingdinner.com/announcements. And I hope and I pray that you'll join us again next week. We've got more on the menu, so to speak. And I really enjoy being with you. Thank you so much. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.